We appreciate the opportunity to tell the story about our involvement in a variety of issues dealing with our homeless community. We'd like to clarify and reiterate the point that the Colorado Springs Police Department exists to serve all people, whether they're employed or not, whether they own a home or not, whether they're a veteran or not, whether they drive a car, own a car or not. We take an oath to provide fair, impartial, and ethical service to everyone. And we believe that's our ultimate objective. And we welcome input from all elements of the community as to how we're doing in that regard. Some of the things that have not been told in this relationship that we have with the homeless community is, as one of the key social institutions in our community, our officers, probably second only to one or two advocacy groups for the homeless, have more interaction with the homeless than any other social institution in the community. Oftentimes, our individual officers will take money out of their own pocket to buy a meal or buy a piece of clothing or a blanket to help someone, the lesser among us. And frankly, they are outraged and resent being portrayed as callous or uncaring towards the very group of people that they have more interaction with than anyone else in the community does. When there is crime involved, more often than not, the homeless people are victims. And when they do commit offenses, more often than not, they're offending against a fellow homeless person. Many homeless need help. Some accept it, offers for help, others don't. Nationally, the evidence is strong that many homeless are struggling with mental illness or substance addiction or both. Now, on the issue of homelessness, the police rarely satisfy any side of the issue. We have people in our community who are angry that we don't do sweeps and scoop everybody up that lives outside and imprison them or ship them off or tolerate any level of panhandling whatsoever. It may be shocking to you, but you would be amazed at the adverse feedback we get from citizens demanding to know why we tolerate the presence of homeless. On the other hand, when we try to connect homeless people with available mental health services, shelters, soup kitchens, and the like, then we're viewed as being harassing in making contact with them. Such is the lot of being a police officer. But we think if we're striving for that middle ground and doing the right thing, that's our objective. The issue of camp cleanups and abandoned property versus property owned by homeless people truly is a symptom of a broader issue. And I want to encourage everyone to let's not get stuck in the mud over camp cleanups. The real issue is, what more can we as a community do on the fundamental issue, the tragedy of homelessness in this community, like many others across the country? I think it's a bit narrow to focus only on the cleanups without having that broader dialogue. Are we doing everything we can as a community to deal with the homelessness issue? That is not a police problem, ladies and gentlemen. It's a community-wide problem. We embrace our role in that in terms of helping connect people with services and responding to concerns. And we embrace our role as a law enforcement agency of holding homeless people as accountable for their acts as we do any other citizen. But we reject the notion that this is entirely a police problem. It's truly a community-wide problem. Now, the newspaper has a legitimate stake in reporting on this issue because of the nature of its social implications. But it also has a responsibility to get it right. And since up to this point it hasn't got it right, we want to take the opportunity, and I want to turn it over to Commander Kirk Pillar to provide you with a factual accounting of the role that the police department has played in accompanying Keep Colorado Springs Beautiful on the sweeps, and what other efforts we make in trying to help homeless people stay connected with their personal property. Kirk?
Thank you, Chief. On Saturday, October 11th, a planned trash cleanup was coordinated with the director of Keep Colorado Springs Beautiful, Deborah Cunningham. The intended areas for cleanup included an area along the walking trail south of Dorchester Park between Nevada Avenue and Tejon Street, an area near Shook's Run Park south of the intersection of Fountain Boulevard and Wasatch Avenue, an area near the creek bed at 3400 West Colorado Avenue, and an area under the bridge at Cimarron and I-25, Colorado Interstate 25. 23 volunteers and individuals court-ordered to provide community service participated in the cleanup effort. 13 of those individuals were juveniles. At approximately 9 a.m., Ms. Cunningham conducted a welcome and orientation briefing for the cleanup crew. Also in attendance were CSPD police officers Brian Babin, who is an 8-year veteran and training officer, and Colby Doolittle, who's an 11-year veteran of the Colorado Springs Police Department. In addition, there were representatives of the local media, including the Gazette and KRDO, who were present with a television camera and camera crew. Later, an individual representing Catholic Charities arrived. The first area that the cleaning crew began to work on was the area near Dorchester Park. The role of the police officers in these cleanup details is not only to provide security for the crews, but they also provide advance notice to anyone located in the designated cleanup area that the area is about to be cleaned up and they should round up their personal belongings. That notification did not occur at the first site because there was no one present to notify. It's also important to note that this area is not a transient campsite. It's a public right-of-way, multi-use trail that is owned by the city. Adjoining property is owned by the Colorado Department of Transportation. There's a large amount of trash in the area and the cleanup crew began their work. Another role of the involved officers is to recover any valuable items, including identification, legal paperwork, and the like. Once they recover that type of information, the officers try to identify who owns those items and then places those items in the evidence custodian's office so that a rightful owner can claim them. No items matching this description were found at this location or any of the other locations throughout the day, and the police did not recover any property. The second area that was cleaned up was the area near Shooks Run Park. This area is adjacent to a multi-use trail also owned by the city. The adjoining land is owned by the Lowell Partners Development Group and the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad. At this location, the involved officers contacted 2 individuals in a transient campsite and asked them permission to clean up around them. None of the volunteers actually entered this campsite and no one conducted any searches. The officers stood by with these individuals while the cleanup took place around them. Between the first 2 locations, approximately 20 cubic yards of trash was removed. The cleanup crew then went to the creek bed to the south of 3400 West Colorado Avenue, where a sofa was removed from the creek bed along with some other trash. No transients were contacted in this area. When the cleanup crew moved to the area near I-25 in Cimarron, it was raining, and the rest of the cleanup effort was canceled due to the weather. No transients were contacted in this area, and the cleanup was actually stopped around 1 p.m. During this operation, Officer Babin actually contacted 2 individuals, one with Catholic Charities and the other one with the street church, and invited them to join in the effort and any future cleanup efforts, indicating that the more people that were involved, the better the situation would be. That's all the information I have.